Hi, so today's video we're going to look at two-way tables, okay? And two-way tables can appear in two different ways in your exam. They're quite straightforward to do really once you know what you're doing, and I'm just going to show you how to work through one of them. Now in this particular example, the question's been set out in a particular way where they're not going to tell you it's a two-way table question, and in actual fact you probably could do the question without the table, but it would make it easier to do with the table, which is why I'm going to go through how to do it. The other way that you can get these questions is you could get a partially filled in two-way table, which you've then got to complete. So what I'm going to do with you today is I'm going to go through the whole of this process where you would take this information to partially fill one in and then complete it, so it's covering both types of question really. So let's just run through the question first of all. So Claire asked 100 students, and it's important to underline key points when you've got a lot of words on a question. And I would say the first important thing there is that there's 100 students. How they come to school one day. Each student came by bicycle, walked, or by car. How many students walked to school? Now that's your question, so it's really important that you know what it is you're answering. So how many students walked to school? Now we've got some information here. So you're told that 49 of the 100 students are girls, 10 of the girls came by car, 16 boys walked, and 21 of the 41 who came by bicycle are boys. Okay, so what you've got to do is think about the categories that these students fall under, and there are two categories here. Hopefully you can spot what they are. The categories are either girls or boys, and then the modes of transport. Okay, so they're the two separate things that we're looking at. So I have already pre-drawn out a two-way table. You wouldn't get this in an exam. It's a case of, you know, okay, this is what it would be, and then just draw one out. And I'm going to do the gender along this side, and I'm going to do the modes of transport along the top. It doesn't matter which way round, but you need to have those two definite separate categories. The categories are designed so that every student falls under one category, one of those different elements within the category. So either they're a boy or a girl, or with the other category, which is the mode of transport, they came by car, bike, or they walked. So one of those three. So every student only fits into one of each of those different elements, if that makes sense. So let's start filling it in. So I'm going to put, so you'd leave that corner blank, as you'll see why in a minute. And we're going to have boys and girls. And then along the top you will have your three modes of transport. So I'm going to put bike, car and walk. Alright, and then you might wonder why I've got an extra one. Now the extra one is for the totals, alright? So let's actually do that in red so it stands out. So that's how you construct it in the first place. And then we have to go through and basically just fill in the information that we've been given, alright? So what we've been told is that 49 of the 100 are girls. So you go to your girls, and this is the total then, isn't it? Okay, it's not one of the modes of transport, it's just the total number of girls, and that is 49, okay? Now the other thing that we do know is that there are 100 students. Now this box here is the total of everything. So that is 100. Okay, we've used that one then. Alright, moving on to the next one, and I like to tick them off so I know I've dealt with it. 10 of the girls came by car, so we go to car and we go to girls, and we can fill that in there. So 10 girls came by car, and this is why it's called a two-way table, because you've got two things converging together. Tick that one off. 16 boys walked, so we go to walk and we go to boys, find the box that represents that, which is there, and we fill that one in there, which is 16. And lastly, 21 of the 41 who came by bicycle are boys. So what we've got here is we've actually got two pieces of information. So first of all, 21 boys came by bike. So the boys in the bike is 21 here, okay? But also we know that 41 students came by bike altogether, so the total goes in there, okay? Now I'm going to change back to blue now so you can see the difference, so you'll be able to see what's been filled in from the information and what we've then filled in, alright? So what you could get in a question is you could get a question that looks like this, and then you've got to then fill in the rest of the information. So I'm actually going to get you to, I'm going to go through how to complete the whole table, but bearing in mind if this was your question, it just says how many students walked, so you don't need to complete it all, you just need to get to the point where you know the total number of students who walked. So we're actually looking for whatever number goes in this box here, okay? And once we've got that, we're finished, but I will complete the whole table with you, as I said before. So the first thing I look for then is I look for a row or a column where I've got almost all of the information and perhaps there's one thing missing, and that happens twice here, so I don't know if you can see. The first place that I spotted it straight away was here, and it's this bike situation. So we know that the total number of people who travelled by bike is 41 and 21 of them were boys, so it's not that difficult to work out that the number of girls who travel by bike is just 20, because 20 and 21 add up to 41, okay? Remember, this is your total, so those two have to add up to 41. The next place that you can spot that happens is actually with the totals at the end. So we know that there are 49 girls and we know there are 100 students, and they're either girls or they're boys. So therefore the missing number here must be 51. Alright, and as you start to fill in numbers, you will see that then you start to fill in another row or another column and only leave one gap, so then you can start to fill in the other bits and pieces. So the next one, if you have a look, we have a gap here and a gap here that we can complete. So this one here, we've got 21 and 16 plus this number have to add up to 51. So if you do that calculation, 21 plus 16, and take that away from 51, that leaves you with 14. And this, and then if you add those two together, 10 and 14, that gives you 24. So we know that the total number of people who travel by car is 24, and obviously 14 boys travel by car, and so on. I mean, there are lots of options of the ways that you can do this now, because now we've only got these two spaces and you can fill both of them quite a straightforward way. First of all, let's look at this one here. So we've got 20 and 10, that adds up to 30, and we want 49, so the missing number there is 19, and then we can use either that to get there, or we can use these two to get there. Either way, this adds up to 35, okay? And our final answer then is 35. There are 35 students who walked to school, okay? And that would be your final answer. Now, sometimes they do like to say to you, what's the probability if I selected a student at random that I would get someone who walked to school? So in that case the answer would be 35 out of 100, or 0.35. So it depends on what the question is, so it's really important that you read what it is that you're supposed to do and make sure you answer it correctly. And that is how you use a two-way table to answer a question.